Here's Cass Sunstein on banning and taxing certain forms of speech. I know, it's just more academia, but I want you to watch. What can the government do about conspiracy theories, and what should it do? It might ban conspiracy theories, somehow defined. 2, the government might impose some kind of tax, financial or otherwise, on those who disseminate such theories. 3, government might itself engage in counter-speech, marshaling arguments to discredit the conspiracy theories. 4, the government might actually formally hire credible private parties to engage in counter-speech. 5, the government might engage in informal communication with such parties, encouraging them to help. Gee, that sounds like what she was saying. Let me go back to the original statement. What if a small group of leaders, I think we have that, small group of world leaders, found that there was a threat to the earth, and that the only hope for the earth would be to collapse the rich countries, because the rich countries are the problem. I think we have all of this so far. And then they would collapse the system. In order to save the planet, the group would decide that the only hope was to collapse the industrialized world. Read the newspapers. Is that not happening? In Greece, in Spain, in England, in Germany. What if that small group felt that way? The question was, would it then be their responsibility to bring it all about? That's the only question that remains unanswered here. Or does it? Again, I go back to their excuses. You know, I had a hard time buying all these excuses. I wasn't listening at church. The FBI didn't know that he was a truther. Andy Stern, by coincidence, is using global workers of the world unite language. Maurice Strong was just writing a novel. That's all I was doing. When 20 years later, he hasn't written anything. But he has laid the foundation for all of this. Let me put it this way. It is easier for me to believe that these people believe the premise of his novel and do feel they have a responsibility to bring all of this about. How about you? Crime Inc. Crime Inc. Our search continues. We'll be right back. I don't think you've seen before. And I find it, quite honestly, I find it disturbing when other people come to the same conclusion that I have, especially people I respect, or I think have a brain cell kicking around, because I really do want to be wrong. Nobody wants to believe the stuff that I believe. You know that. If you watch this show on a regular basis, you don't want to believe it either, but you've not left any choice. And we're talking about people, again, the small group of people that believe there's a threat to Earth, and the rich countries are the problem, and so collapse the industrialized rich countries. That's the idea. Now, the president calls it fundamentally transforming America. But fundamentally transforming America doesn't really happen without an emergency. You really do have to collapse the economies of the world. Brian Williams from NBC was on David Letterman, I think last week. I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if anybody watches Letterman, but I want you to listen to what Brian Williams said and see if it sounds familiar at all. Here it is.
Our stock market went into a deep decline, a bottomless dive. There's some speculation as we sit here that it was computer triggers, that it was a glitch. But I'm telling you, on every television set at the NYSE this afternoon was the live picture of police beating demonstrators in Greece. One fire on a sidewalk turned out to be 3 people on fire. The Parliament had passed this measure to do some emergency spending. Here's the daisy chain. Greece to Portugal to Italy. Germany is kind of Europe's bank. Germany, a lot of this stops at Germany, but we're going to be in some trouble here for a while. The danger is it hurts the U.S. economy. As someone said on television this afternoon as part of the cable coverage, the dirty little secret is the world has no money and the emperor has no clothes. If I wasn't a tad too close to this, I'd probably not leave the house. But that's how bad it is.
Okay. So it's easy for people who have been dismissing, you because you watch this show and say, well, you're just a fear-monger. No. No, will you say that about Brian Williams? I said at the beginning of the show, and let me just say this first. I said at the beginning of the show that we have to have serious conversations. And I do try to make this show entertaining so people will watch. Nobody wants to watch a drag every day. And this is what this is, man. This is a drag. You don't know what it's like even finding this stuff. You don't know what it's like. And you will understand in a few weeks when I tell you about the conversation that we had in the hallway of my office today that, I said, everybody better write this conversation down because this is history. And it's terrifying. But what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to run and hide and bury your head? Or are you supposed to do the right thing and tell the truth? Because I know, and you'll see it again tomorrow on the show, faith, hope, and charity. You're going to see faith tomorrow. We can change the world. We can change it. We can fix it if we are who we really are, not who we've allowed ourselves to become. Back in just a second. Okay, America, I just want to show you one piece of video here, actually two pieces of video. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because we're dealing with people who are not the usual faith-based people. They're always the ones that run to the table and say separation of church and state. And this is the reason why Jim Wallace and the way the progressives are using churches now. And I want to show you this because this is what you're up against. Listen to this. Here's Nancy Pelosi first talking about immigration, then John Kerry talking about cap and trade. Watch.
Cardinals, the archbishops, the bishops that come to me and say, we want you to pass immigration reform. And I said, but I want you to speak about it from the pulpit. I want you to instruct your, whatever the communication is. The people, some who oppose immigration reform, are sitting in those pews. And you have to tell them that this is a manifestation of our living the Gospels.
We have the broadest base of support, as I said. We have faith-based community support for this bill. We have generals and admirals who believe this is essential for American security. We have major business leaders who believe this will create jobs and make us competitive.
I played this for you last night, and I showed you the connections of their faith-based. I mean, it was one click away into redistributive wealth and socialism. They have duped a lot of people in faith, and you just need to pay attention on what's going on. Tomorrow on this program, I'm going to recharge your batteries a little bit. I'm going to teach you something, an hour of George Whitefield. Most Americans have never even heard of him, but if it wasn't for this man, I don't think there would have been an American Revolution. And he taught a fundamental principle, the individual right, the individual power. Don't miss a second of that tomorrow. And on the Insider Extreme at glennbeck.com on Saturday, we're going to have live exclusive coverage of my NRA keynote speech. And then also earlier in the day, I am going to be meeting at Liberty University and delivering the commencement address. And that is on faith. Don't miss it. glennbeck.com, Insider Extreme. Sign up now. Back in a minute. Of Crime, Inc., and I want you to learn it because this really is the basic, and this thing's going to unleash here in the next few weeks. Go to glennbeck.com, look for the Crime, Inc. It's on the Chicago Climate Exchange. You learn who, what it is. It's a theft of our rights and our money. It's happening now. Why? Power and control. Go to glennbeck.com now. See you tomorrow with Faith and George Whitefield from New York. Good night, America.